these are just two orcas coming into a new area, and they're completely causing havoc in the marine life as they know it down there. That's pretty wild. That's amazing to me when I see creatures like that you don't think attack each other do. And that is a good segue into our main topic, which is super predator, and it's orcas. Orcas are hunting. Orca hunts great white. Like it's been Shark Week or Shark Month. I think I can't remember what it is. Is it week or month? I can't remember.
It's week, I believe.
I
don't have cable anymore.
Yeah, on streaming services, you've got like all kinds of weeks. So I think it's Shark Week. But basically, I was watching a few shows, and I may have heard about this, where like there are these. There's the orcas are they love the taste of great white sharks for some reason, and they love a certain part of that great white shark, and we'll get into it, but they are basically hunting. Those great whites are hunting the killer whales or orcas. And now you've seen orcas, right, in Alaska?
Oh yeah, several.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. They kind of run in packs, right? They're like dolphins. I think they're like
it depends on the orca. Some of them are lone predators, though. Those are actually the dangerous ones. The ones that hunt in packs, those are the ones that you can like go around with no problem. But transient ones, which I believe are the ones that are the solo ones, those are the ones you got to keep an eye out for.
The loners,
those are the ones that get the nickname sea wolf.
Yeah, and like I said, when they kind of remind me like either a dog or a cat, right? They either travel around in a pack and they do sound and they go, okay, we're gonna go over here. Or the lone ones that you're talking about, they kind of do their own thing. But they normally in Alaska, they normally eat what? Seals, birds, probably.
They will eat everything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've seen videos where they even attack boats, or I don't know if they're playing with it. There's like, what's this? Like a cat does that kind of stuff, right?
They learn people throw fish over the edge so that the whales will stop. So it's been trained, unfortunately.
Yeah, and yes, and they're already saying this in the chat. Orcas are the largest species of porpoise, dolphins, porpoise. Yes, and they're pretty gnarly. They're pretty apex. Everyone sees them as Shamu, right? Oh, they're jumping through hoops. No one really thinks of them as this like vicious creature. They think of the great white shark as a vicious predator, right? Well, apparently, so in August 21st of 2022, this doctor here, lady, she's down there in South Africa, and her name is Alison Towner, sorry, and she found this great white shark it just washed up on the shore, and it's literally slashed open, like almost like a serial killer. Like it left and they're like, what could have done this? You could look at that gash. That's pretty gnarly. Like she said, she wasn't sure like when it happened, what happened, but she did notice two or three killer whales, orcas, out in the distance right after this washed up on the shore. So she was thinking maybe that happened. And so she did a lot of research. She's done a lot of research. You've probably seen her on Discovery Channel. You've probably seen her. She does a lot of shows about great whites. She does a lot of shows about marine life in general. But she was out there, and apparently she said they like the taste of their livers, their hearts, and that's what was missing. So like when I think of that, other animals who do that, like my cat, if they get a lizard, they don't eat the whole lizard. They eat like a little bit and they like leave the rest of it because they're like, oh, I'm done with this, and they move on to the next thing. They don't really eat to eat, right? They don't eat to survive. They just eat to play. So I'm wondering if that's what the orcas are doing. They're just kind of messing around with these sharks, and they just have the delicacy of the liver. That's pretty vicious. What do you? I don't know what I would do if I found this on the beach. So,
well, most likely I would just take a photo with it, post it on to Twitter, and move on. And it's like, hell, no bringing this shark back.
Yeah, that's what she did. She did post it on Facebook. It was there. A lot of people were very interested in what happened. It was a female shark, and it's just crazy to think. So basically what they're finding out is, yes, some in this around Cape Town, South Africa, this is where this event happened. The killer whales kind of are starting to migrate over here, and the great whites are starting to kind of go other ways. They're used to, I mean, South Africa was known for great whites. I mean, people went down there to videotape them jumping out of the water. People would study them down there, and now all those people are saying they're leaving. As you can see, I don't know. I know it's a little small there, but the orca can be up to 26 feet. A great white can be up to 21. They're about the same max speed, but they live. Orcas obviously looks like they live about 30 years longer, 100 to 70 years. And they weigh by almost half the size of a great white. That's pretty intense. So they would be bigger. They would be able to take down a great white shark. And that would, I don't know, like if what would you think if you saw like these two fighting in the water? Would you
I would pity the shark first and foremost. The killer whales are wicked smart.
Yes, that's why they had them at SeaWorld, because they were able to train them and do certain tricks and stuff. So it's crazy.
Their diet also changes.
Okay,
and they will actually teach each other how to hunt in new ways. As I understand now, I don't know like if there's any way to like verify this, but apparently there's been an increase in orcas hunting great whites because they seem to be teaching it to more orcas.
And that's exactly what that Allison Towner mentioned, that they are noticing that they're coming. They're more. You're going to see more orcas in South Africa than great whites now, because there is a good population of, I believe, other marine life out there. I think there are some sea lions out there as well that obviously they hunt in Alaska, so why not, right? And like they're both pretty fast. That's pretty cool. Now, Joker kind of mentioned in the chat, but what they do is, and they've been studying this since they found these sharks going missing since I think 2017. What they do is, so this is what the two pair orcas have done. They said they've seen two of them. So what they do is they either come up behind it like this, and they flip them over, because when you flip a shark over, it kind of goes to sleep. So they know to do that, which is weird, right? And then they do what you saw that example of, where they slice open with their teeth and basically suck out their livers, hearts, whatever the delicacies that they intend to eat, and then they leave the rest. So, I mean, that's a pretty good remover right there, right? That's a pack type of, like, it makes me think of like what do you call it? Like velociraptors, right? When we saw Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
Like where they were basically coming in, and one would come from one angle, and then you wouldn't know the other one was behind you. I mean, it seems like they're doing the same thing.
They're incredibly intelligent, and if you've ever watched them, they are very much like a combination of cats and dogs. They love to play like cats. They love to play with their food as a way to learn hunting. But they're also incredibly territorial, and they will group together, and for the most part, their coordination is some of the best that you will find in the animal kingdom. They will have one out in the open to kind of have like a predator, like a shark, keeping an eye on. Then the other one will, like that, come from underneath, and it's all over.
Yeah. So
imagine these creatures are learning this, and they're not really being taught. They're just like, hey, I wonder what would happen if I knock this shark over. That's actually going through their brain.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing, because that's what they adapt, right? They adapt to whatever they're trying to do. I mean, that's a lot of the species who do other things in the world, like even us, we adapted. So they're doing the same thing. Now there was a drone footage of this actually happening. So I'm going to share that too. It's a very short video, so YouTube, please don't get mad at me. So this is from Jaws, from the let me see if I can play it here. Hold on, having issues. That's great. Video. So the orcas are circling, if you see that, and then there's the great white in the middle. So, and they already sliced him open, so he's kind of bleeding there. So see the other orca there that came from underneath.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the shark. So, but yeah, it was
sushi is served.
Yeah, and they're just kind of still playing with it, like you said, like a cat. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Now, I would rather have them hunting the sharks than some of the other creatures they will hunt. For those that are familiar, they will hunt actually fair-sized whales. And it has caused quite a bit of a problem, actually, in some areas. Orcas, I think that because they're an apex predator, they kind of don't know when to stop at times. And so
yeah.
Hopefully they will dispose of the shark problem and leave some of the other parts of the ocean alone for a while to recover.
And as I was researching, there are 2 sharks in Alaska that are out there. There's the sleeper shark that lives like way down in the depths of the ocean. Very, I think it's almost like kind of blind. And if you think that I've heard, and then there's the cousin, or I guess the relative of a great white. It's smaller. I can't remember the name of that one, but that one,
salmon shark.
Salmon shark. There you go. Yeah. So do you ever hear of any of this happening with those sharks, with orcas?
I've not really heard about it, but then again, Alaskans aren't really watching for this as much. They're more interested about where salmon are going, and sometimes they'll see the sharks. But the thing is that if salmon are going around, orcas, they have their choice of so many types of food out there. They can eat the sharks if they so desire, but they're not as big as a great white. So obviously there's probably not going to be as much for them to eat. They really do like eating seals. So chances are they're going to be going after the seals first and foremost. Second off, they're probably going after the salmon.
Yeah.
And then when all else fails, they'll go after a halibut, and then they'll go to the shark.
Yeah. An animal that big probably eats a lot, has to consume a ton of calories. So I'm sure that. So Joker, it says in the chat, the name killer whale is actually backwards. They were originally named whale killers. Okay, all right, very cool. That's interesting. I mean, they like you said. So this is that scientist again. She basically kind of outlines what she saw here in a couple quotes, and I wanted to read these over to you. There were killer whale tooth impressions on the pectoral fins of the sharks, and their livers were removed so neatly. Like how she says neatly, it would take coordination of a large, sophisticated animal to tear a white shark open and do this. So that it's like almost like a surgeon opened them up. Also, each time a dead shark washed out, there had been sightings of killer whales in the area. So a lot of all the evidence pointed to killer whale, and also confirmed by killer whale biologists. So there was that. And then she also quoted. She said it's a surprisingly clean tear and varies in size, but usually spans around the width between the pec fins. Towner wrote in another comment under the post. So she posted this on Facebook. Often the heart is missing too, as it is closely connected to the liver. The last white shark, where looks like they had a fresh seal in its stomach. That's pretty nice. Maybe they got 2 meals. What we seem to be witnessing through a large scale avoidance rather than a fine scale strategy, mirroring what we see used by wild dogs in the Serengeti. So that's pretty. So like, there you go. They're like you just said they like in earlier you said the dog of the sea, like the right there. And so the sharks are leaving the area because they're more and more orcas are coming here because they're, like you said, they're learning how to eat these things, and the great whites are like, I'm out. no more. I don't want to be here to do that. So
actually, there's an area along the West Coast where this happened a couple of years ago. It was the first time that a great white had been filmed being eaten by being attacked and eaten by an orca. First time. And they noticed immediately, once the blood was basically in the water, all the other sharks vacated for the season. And it took like 2-3 years for them to start coming back. Despite how dumb great whites can look, they know when orcas are in the area and they will leave.
Yeah, they're smart too. They're just as smart. They do cool things as well, these great whites. Like they can adjust their own body temperature no matter where they are, so they can go super fast or appear out of nowhere. So
I'm curious where the sharks are going to end up, because these sharks have been displaced. Where else are they going to go?
Okay, so that's a great question. And so some of the stuff I was watching, they were either moving to around New Zealand. They're going to around Australia. If you notice, there's been some incidences in those areas with their sea lion population being eaten by the sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have seen them in Massachusetts. Some people have seen them more of on the east coast of the United States. They obviously won't go to Alaska, because that's where all the orcas really live. So they won't go there. But here's another event that happened just this year. So I wanted to show you this. This is still pretty current. So this happened last month in 2023, and this was another dead shark that washed up on another bay over there. Again, after it washed up, there were 2 orcas in the area. And there was another researcher that found this one, and he basically said some of the shark victims were discovered washed ashore, and their livers missing. So again, the same thing that Towner has said. Now he's been studying this for a while. So on June 19th was when he found the shark. Even more so than the previous times, it was almost as if they put a different kind of effort into it. Before, it almost looks like looks like the shark was pushed gently. However, yesterday the people on the boat who witnessed the attack described that the shark breached out of the water almost as if it was trying to get away. So there you go. So you said they know they're there. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. I gotta jump. And then basically, then the orcas pushed them further, and it lasted a few minutes, and the shark was being dragged around in the mouth. So it seemed like a different type of kill. So it's like the orcas like, you're not going anywhere. Come here, right? So
for those that are familiar with them, I would be very curious to know what the hydrophones are picking up.
Yeah.
Because for those who know, even all these creatures actually make sounds underneath the water. And so I wonder if there's like a sound that the shark lets out to like tell the others, hey, we got danger here. Or maybe the orcas are like going silent when they are in hunt mode. I'd be very curious to know what that is.
Yeah, me too. Because if you ever hear whales, they're always clicking and making all kinds of different sounds.
There's sounds also that we are not even familiar with it.
Yeah.
Like, I heard like tuna will give a rumbling sound. And it's a very specific, iconic sound that they're making deep inside themselves that you can only hear with a hydrophone turned up like to the max. Mm-hmm. And they said this is basically what the ocean sounds like. And it sounded, if you were to take clicks, rumbles, and pop sounds, it sounded like if you just replace that with birds, you would have thought you were in a forest. They were everywhere. So I'd be very curious to know what it would sound like.
Yeah, because like when you're out in the forest and you hear like a screech, right? Or like a bird screech, that's usually a hawk. And most animals know, or mammals, the little mammals, they'll be like, oh, there's a hawk. I'm gonna hide. Or an owl, right? The mouse will know there's an owl. So maybe it's the same thing. Who knows? So the same Janari said that the shark nets in the area kill between 25 to 30 great whites a year. So that we have their own problems with that, where maybe 2 orcas don't even kill half as many over a 12-month period. So they're taking out a good chunk, I would say. I mean, between all us with the nets and then these evil orcas. And it says port and starboard first gained attention of the Western Cape of South Africa in 2015. This is when it became clear that the pair were reasonable for the deaths of several broad-nosed 7-gill sharks discovered by scuba divers. So they were after a different type of shark first. And I think Rick R2 mentioned that earlier in the chat. However, they did not stop there. Between 2017 and 19, the Orcas started turning their sights on great whites. So it's been happening in this area almost a good amount of time. So almost like 10 years. So the Orcas' presence in the local waters have even caused the great white populations to disperse in certain areas. False Bay between Cape Point and Cape Hengclip used to be a hot spot for endangered species, but since 2017, great whites have all but disappeared from the area. So that's crazy. We hear about all kinds of like invasive species, right, coming from boats or shipping, right? There's all kinds of things that happen. Like there's a shrimp somewhere, I think, in the Gulf of Mexico that's causing havoc. This may be doing the same thing, but it's amazing how our world works. We don't even think about these on a daily basis. Like these are just two orcas coming into a new area, and they're completely causing havoc in the marine life as they know it down there. That's pretty wild. Pretty fascinating story. Biggles says orcs F sharks up. I love it. Yeah. So okay. So if you were gonna have I guess if they were gonna have a battle, like we mentioned before, a grizzly or a polar bear, which one would you rather? A orca or a great white?
Well, without a doubt, the orca is going to win every single time. Actually, it's interesting. I remember hearing that orcas will also remove predators if there are calves in the area. And so if an orca senses that there's a threat to maybe one of their young, they might go on a killing rampage. I don't know for this scenario, but I do know that has happened in other parts of the world.
I mean,
actually, I have seen 2 orca infants before. I was actually up here in Alaska, and they were actually trailing the boat. They were staying out of sight, and they just said, "Hey, folks, just so you know, the sonar's acting weird. We might have some orcas immediately below us." And so we go out and we're looking around, like where are these orcas? We're waiting for them to come up for breath, and they're refusing to do so. They were under there for a long time. I look over the edge. I see this little tiny orca, one that you literally could hold it in your arms. It was that small. Just comes up, takes a quick breath, and goes back under. And it's quite fascinating creatures. I have seen many times since then. But yeah, they are creatures where they do like safe areas for their young, and then they go out into the world and wreak their havoc. Then they come back to a nice sheltered area and yeah,
hang out. Yeah, like I've seen videos where orcas have flipped over boats, like little boats of sailboats. I don't know where though, but I have seen videos of that happening. So they're messing with all kinds of stuff out there. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they do this all the time. We just didn't know it.
Well, I do know again that their behaviors will change, and I'm just glad they've not gotten a taste for people yet.